Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am amongst my kale plants here, so there are 4 here in fact, and this one right next to me, it's showing flower buds, so the end of the season is coming. Now kale plants are a plant, or rather a vegetable, that overwinters, so it really likes the cool weather. So this is a fantastic winter vegetable to have. You start growing them around autumn, mid-autumn, and they will just keep growing and give you these beautiful leaves over winter, and then come spring they'll come into flowering, and then of course they will then die off because they really don't like the hot weather. So if you're thinking of a winter vegetable to grow in the garden, kale is definitely a winner. And this is what is known as Cavolo nero, and it's different to the Russian kale, which has got frilly edges. I really love eating kale, and in fact I've just harvested a bunch here, and I'm gonna cook that with some mushrooms tonight. So I'm gonna show you what I do with these. So what I have here is a red onion, a medium-sized red onion, a couple of cloves of garlic, some button mushrooms, and also the kale which I had just picked. So I've cut up the vegetables, I've diced the onions, finely chopped the garlics, quartered the mushrooms, and also cut the kale leaves into smaller pieces. I also picked some marjoram from the garden and also have half a lemon there for the juice. To cook the dish I have in mind, I put the olive oil in a deep pot and heat it up over medium heat. When the oil is hot, and you can usually tell with a little bit of fine bubbles at the bottom of the pot, then it's time to add on the garlic and also the onion. And what I want to do is to infuse the oil with the garlic and also the onions, so that it's all fragrant, and also it always adds a different flavor to cooking. So that's always my base, using garlic and also onion, and then just fry them until the onion is translucent. Once the onions are translucent, that means they are partly cooked and should be fragrant, and at this stage add in all of the mushrooms. At this stage I also add in the herbs, which is the marjoram, and I pull the leaves into smaller pieces. And I just give them a good mix around. After that, making sure that all of the mushroom pieces are coated in oil. After a couple of minutes of cooking, I add in some water to the mushrooms. Now mushrooms absorb a lot of liquid, and by this stage, the cooking can be a little bit dry, so that's why I added on some water. Not a lot, just a dash. And at this stage I also add in the seasoning, which is just pepper and also salt. Now I like my mushroom to be a little bit more peppery, so I've added in 2 big pinches of pepper and just a couple of small pinches of salt, and then give it a good stir around just to make sure that the seasoning is mixed through the mushrooms themselves. So the last ingredient that I add to the dish is obviously the star of the show, the kale. So the kale leaves just needs to be wilted. Now because my pot isn't all that huge, so what I have to do is just make sure that I get the kale to the bottom of the pot. So that just means bringing up what is already there to the top, so that there is space for the kale to go to the bottom. Now it doesn't take long at all for the kale to wilt, maybe just about 4 or 5 minutes, so that it would get some heat, and then you can usually tell that the color starts to change. So it will go from a rather sort of gray-green color to a really deep color, as you see there. So it doesn't take long at all. So for me, it's just a case of just stirring through the kale, stirring through the mixture. I mean, partly is also because you want to make sure the mushroom and the kale is properly mixed, or well distributed, I should say. And yeah, then it's a case of just adding on my very last ingredient, which is a bit of sauce. And now I like to add in some Worcester sauce, just because I like that sourness to it. You don't have to do it, but I like doing it because it just adds on, gives it a different flavor. And the kale and the mushroom seems to love it. They seem to absorb that flavor very well. Once the kale is done, I switch off the stove and put a lid on it, just to allow the steam to wilt the kale just a little bit more. And here is the dish served on polenta with just a squeeze of lemon juice on top to add flavor. If you like this video and others that I've done, then subscribe to my channel and you'll be notified of new videos that I upload. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.